talk about muscle gain diets. Everybody always wants to build some muscle, right? We always want to fill out, we want to look good, we want to look lean. Well, there's a lot of conflicting info out there. A lot of people think that you can do two things at once. Build muscle and you can burn fat at the same time, but here's the problem with that idea. Muscle gain requires caloric surplus, being above maintenance in order to build mass. Fat burning, on the other hand, requires a caloric deficit. So for us to actually burn fat and build muscle at the same time, it's a very conflicting idea. It's much better for you to just focus on one over the other, do one really smart, and then hit the other later when you do it really smart again. First things first, you absolutely must understand the basics of muscle gain. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, the basics are gonna be the same. Here's what you gotta do. First off, I don't believe in bulking diets. I think that's bullshit. I don't care if it's a lean bulk, a dirty bulk, whatever, all these kind of bulks. Get that shit out of here. That's bullshit, you guys. It's an excuse for you to go off your diet, off your plan, and think that you can eat everything in sight, and it's okay because you're bulking. Well, guess what? I got another idea for you. What about building? Keeping a lean physique year round, but building muscle, building quality muscle mass, feeling strong, feeling healthy, keeping your health, keeping your body, and achieving long-lasting results. That's what we're gonna talk about today. And I'm gonna give you the step-by-step right now to see every little piece of it so you can do it all on your own. Let's get it going. Grab a pen and paper right now. First step, get your maintenance calorie intake. You gotta figure out what your body needs to eat right now to maintain its current weight. Because we're gonna go into a muscle building phase. We're gonna start making some muscle gains. That means we're gonna need to up our calorie intake. So first things first, you can do this online. Figure out a calculator that tells you your maintenance level, or simply write down all the foods you're eating in a week, something like that. Look at the average intake and figure out where you're at right now to maintain your current body weight. Next step, we're gonna up those calories, 300 to 500 calories. So you're gonna go 300 to 500 calories above your maintenance caloric intake. This is automatically going to put you into a gaining phase, a building phase, okay? And if you do it small first, say you start with 300 calories, you're gonna be much less likely to put on fat and more likely to put on muscle. Inevitably, you're gonna do both, but it's gonna be to a lesser degree on the fat side if you start off smaller and add up as you go over time. So you got your calorie intake. Now what you're gonna wanna do is go ahead and break it down into your macros, your proteins, carbs, fats, and fibers for that goal of muscle gain. For the protein intake, protein's an absolutely essential nutrient. It doesn't matter who you are, even if you're not training, you need to have that protein intake. So, good place to start is gonna be 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. Now, if you really don't know what your lean body mass is, it can be hard to figure that out. So if you want just more of a round kind of ballpark statement, cover all your bases, go for 1 gram per pound of body weight. You can assume by that point you're definitely hitting a lean body mass and you're probably getting a chunk of extra, and that's gonna be okay anyway. So now this is where you get a little bit more playroom. We got the protein taken out. That leaves you with 2 nutrients. We're talking about carbs, we're talking about fats. Now, depending on what you favor in your diet generally, you can put one up or the other up. Cater to your needs. Do you typically like higher carb foods? Let's say when you're having a bad day where you're craving a lot of things, is it carbs or is it more fatty foods? That might be able to help you figure out where you should weigh your macros here when it comes to the carbs and it comes to the fats. If you just want a starting point, go with 0.5 grams of fats per pound of body weight. So right there, we've already taken care of the protein, we've taken care of the fats. Now you're gonna have a chunk of calories left over, and that's gonna take up your carbohydrates. So if you didn't know, proteins have 4 calories per gram. Fats have 9 calories per gram. Carbohydrates also have 4 calories per gram. So simply take that extra chunk of calories, divide it by 4, and that's gonna be your carbohydrate intake. Okay, we got all of the nutrients in there now. We got the proteins, we got the carbs, we got the fats. That's a good starting point for a muscle gain diet. But there's one more nutrient, one more macro, in other words, that people always forget, and this is gonna be the most important one because this dictates how you absorb all the other nutrients. We're talking about your fiber. Talking about fiber, we're gonna take into a few more variables, right? There's gonna be different things that come into it. It's good to look up a calculator online to kind of figure that out for yourself, but if you want a more just a very good starting point, for women it's generally gonna be around 25 grams. For men, it's gonna be around 35, 38 grams per day in fiber intake to get. We got all of our macros planned. We are ready to rock this muscle gain diet. Here's what you need to do. Decide whether or not you're gonna do a meal plan or you're gonna do a flexible dieting approach. Now, a meal plan would mean that you're gonna go ahead and come up with some meals and you're gonna track them out and you're gonna make sure it fits to your macro goals, and then you're gonna prep out and you're just gonna kind of eat the same things over and over for a week or 2 or 5, whatever you're doing, until you get the result. You wanna mix it up and change it again, you start the process over. Flexible dieting approach gives you a little bit more flexibility to where you're going to eat maybe different things every day. You're gonna mix things up and you're just gonna strictly track every single day to make sure you're fitting to those goals. You need to decide which approach is best for you, and a few things come into play here. It's gonna be your lifestyle. What is realistic for you? Are you realistically going to be able to track every single thing you eat down to the gram? Can you weigh your foods, do things like that? Or are you super busy and you don't have time for that kind of stuff? It's better for you to prep on the weekend when you have a day off and then just bring your food to work and eat it throughout the day. You gotta figure out what's gonna work best for you. Both methods are great. It really just comes down to hitting those macronutrient goals. So if you can figure that out with either one of these methods, that's the one to give it a shot. Here's the most fun part of the plan. You get to eat. You got your macros, you got your meals, you got your tracking, whatever you're gonna do, you're ready to rock. Now you just gotta eat the food. So it's as simple as that. Make sure you get the foods in, make sure you're hitting the macros day in, day out, and here's what I want you to do then. You gotta track everything. And then what I mean by that is every single week you need to have one day that you track everything. Progress pictures, body measurements with a tape, body stats in the scale and things like that if you're using that as a way to assess. And then you gotta also do a check-in with your body, physically, mentally. Write those things down, get that all down, and track it every week. And over time, you need to look at the general trend. Are you gaining muscle over time? If you're testing your body fat, you can do that as another way to assess, but really you just wanna look at trends. Are you gaining weight? Are you gaining muscle? Are your measurements going up? Are your progress pictures looking better? And then if that's happening at a good, nice, slow, easy pace, keep climbing that ladder. When that hits a plateau, which it will level off, that might be time to reassess the macros. As you gain more muscle, you gain more weight, your calorie intake is going to have to climb up with it, because eventually you're gonna hit homeostasis, and at that point, you're gonna be at a kind of plateau. You will have to recomp your macros, start the whole process from the beginning, and do it again. Now, if you are automatically out the gate not making any progress, you've done this a few weeks now, it's been 3-4 weeks, and you haven't really gained much, your measurements haven't gone up, your pictures look the same, you need to up those calories right out the gate from square one. So maybe you need to go to the 500 calorie. Now you could even need to climb higher than 500. People's metabolisms are all different. You gotta be very custom for yourself. That's why we do this tracking variable. You gotta make sure you're seeing the results for yourself, and you can adjust, track, and adapt as needed over time until you get the perfect recipe, the perfect formula just for you. So apply these principles to your life right now and be ready for the gains that are gonna come. You're gonna make some muscle gains for sure, and it's gonna be a great, fun process for you to learn a little bit more about your body. Thank you for checking out this video. Thank you for being here. You can comment below, share this out, subscribe to my YouTube for more stuff like this, and check out my custom online coaching programs, including macros, at functionalflexfitness.net.